Chapter 10. Brady rushed to his locker after school the next day, eager to get out. He yanked his jacket off the hook and quickly shrugged it on as he hurried down the crowded hallway. "Brady, wait up!" Hearing Allie's voice, Brady groaned. The last thing he wanted right now was to talk to Allie. He glanced over his shoulder and saw her at the far end of the hall, threading her way toward him through a knot of kids. With another soft groan, he stepped out of the flow and leaned against some lockers. He watched Allie's face as he waited for her to catch up, smiling just the way she had been at lunch, nothing in her expression to make him think she knew about Rasha. But that strange color warning him to stay away from Rasha. She had to be one of Allie's friends. She just hadn't told Allie. Not yet, anyway. "Oh, wow, what a long day," Allie groaned as she finally reached Brady's side. "I can't wait to get out of here." "Yeah, me too," Brady agreed, eyeing the doors that led to the student parking lot. "I know. Let's go buy a bunch of junk food," Allie suggested. "Then go to my house and study for the bio midterm together." Brady shook his head. "I can't, Allie." "Why not? You've been worrying about that bio for weeks," she reminded him. "Oh, wait. Is your head hurting again?" "No, but Brady thought fast. "I've got to find a job, remember? So I want to get home and take a look at the help wanted ads in the paper." Lame, he thought. Really lame. He wished he were a better liar. Allie frowned. "Why don't you go to the guidance office instead? They have all kinds of job listings for Shadyside kids." "I already tried them," Brady lied. "All they have are babysitting and snow shoveling. I want something that will pay better." "Oh, well, you can look at the paper at my house, you know," Allie told him. Why won't she just let me get out of here? Brady wondered. "I know, but I better get home," he said. "My mom gave me a ton of chores to do, part of the punishment for wrecking the car." "Okay, I'll see you tomorrow, Brady." Allie's smile was sympathetic and disappointed. As Brady left her standing in the hall, he felt a twinge of guilt. Should he have told her about Rasha and gotten it over with? No, not yet. He had to find Rasha first, make sure everything was all right between them. Then he'd break the news to Allie. But how? How was he going to find Rasha? He had called at least 20 Nelsons yesterday and struck out with all of them. All he could think of to do was to go home and try some more. Eager to get home and start phoning, Brady slammed out the door. As he strode toward the parking lot, he suddenly remembered something. Rasha went to St. Anne's. She had told him that day they met at Pete's Pizza. Brady felt a smile spread across his face. He had dated a girl from St. Anne's before. He remembered waiting for her after school. St. Anne's let out a half-hour later than Shadyside High. In 10 minutes, Brady could be over there, parked across the street, waiting for Rasha. As he hurried through the rows of parked cars, Brady caught a glimpse of John's red hair a few rows away. "John, hey!" he yelled. "Hold it a second." John waved. Brady ran up to him. "I'm glad I saw you," he declared breathlessly. "I need your help." "Sure. What's up?" John asked. "We're going to St. Anne's to look for Rasha," Brady explained, grabbing John by the arm and pulling him toward his car. "I'll stake out the front and you park in the back. That way, one of us will see her for sure." "Whoa." John stopped walking. "I can't go to St. Anne's now. I have to be at the donut hall in 20 minutes. Besides, 20 minutes is plenty of time. If we leave now," Brady insisted. "Come on, let's get going." John didn't move. "This is crazy." Brady stared at him. "What are you talking about? You know how I feel about Rasha." "Yeah, but I don't understand why," John declared. "You don't have to understand," Brady almost shouted. "All you have to do is help me out." He grabbed the front of John's jacket and pulled. "Come on, man, move." "Get it together, Brady." John peeled Brady's fingers loose, then shoved him away. "You're totally losing it. Lying to Allie, wrecking your dad's car, sticking out St. Anne's. Stop acting like an obsessed jerk. She's just a girl." Brady angrily jabbed his finger into John's chest. "You don't know what you're talking about." He jabbed at him again. John rocked back on his heels. His friendly, open expression turned dark and angry. He shot a hand out and grabbed Brady's wrist. "Better get going, Brady," he muttered through clenched teeth. "You might miss her if you spend time fighting with me." With a final disgusted glance, John flung Brady's hand away and strode off through the parking lot. Brady spun around and jogged angrily to his car. He revved the engine, then peeled out of the parking lot in a spray of ice and dirty snow. Just a girl. John obviously didn't have a clue. Rasha wasn't just anything. She was perfect. Stopping for a red light, Brady slammed his fist against the steering wheel. He couldn't believe John, his best friend, calling him obsessed, a jerk, letting him down. The light changed to green. As Brady took off, he glanced in the rearview mirror. A police car appeared behind him. Had he been speeding? Brady glanced nervously into the mirror again. The cruiser's turn signal went on, and it made a left at the next block. Brady breathed easier and told himself to calm down. He couldn't take any chances, couldn't let his anger get him in trouble. He had to forget about John, forget about everything but finding Rasha. The traffic lights were with him the rest of the way. 5 minutes later, Brady pulled to a stop across the street from St. Anne's. The school was old, 3 stories high, built of dark red bricks. Steep stone steps led up to the front doors, which were closed. Brady checked his watch. He'd made it with a couple of minutes to spare. He got out of the car and sat on the hood, his eyes on the front doors of the school. He never heard a bell, but suddenly the doors burst open and a crowd of kids poured through them. They rushed down the steps in a blur of colorful winter jackets. Brady climbed onto the hood of his car and tried to spot Rasha in a crush of students flowing out of the building. There, turning down the sidewalk, heading away from him. He couldn't see her face, but the hair was a match, long and blonde, spilling down her back in waves. Brady jumped from the hood and tore across the street. Rasha! He edged his way through the crowd, leaped onto the sidewalk, and shouted her name again. Rasha, wait! Rasha! The girl turned. She wasn't Rasha, not even close. Brady stumbled to a stop, gaping stupidly at her. She frowned at him and walked on. Brady stared around. The crowd had thinned out now as kids reached their cars or caught buses. He spotted 3 more blonde-haired girls. None of them Rasha. She could have left by the back doors, he thought. She might be on a bus or walking home, wherever that was. Brady pounded a fist against the car hood. What now? Go home and call more Nelsons? Hope Rasha called him? He couldn't stand it. He had to find her. Today. Feeling desperate, Brady rushed up the front steps of St. Anne's and into the main hall. A few small groups of students lingered, chatting by their lockers. He could ask them about Rasha, but he suddenly had a better idea. Brady hurried down the hall, checking the doors as he went. When he reached the principal's office, he took a deep breath and burst inside. A stern-faced secretary glanced up from her computer. Yes? I have to find a friend of mine, a student here, Brady announced, trying to sound serious and concerned. Her name is Rasha Nelson? Maybe you could tell me if she's still in the building, or if she already left. I need her phone number. The woman eyed him skeptically. If she's a friend, surely you have her telephone number. Yeah, but I lost it, Brady told her quickly. It's an emergency, and I'm kind of upset. Could you just look her number up on the computer? It's really important. I'm sorry, young man, but I can't give out any information about our students, the woman informed him. It's against school policy. But I'm her friend, and I'm telling you, it's an emergency. Then I suggest you call the police. I really can't help you. I'm sorry. The woman swiveled back to her computer and began typing again. Brady whirled around and left the office, gritting his teeth in frustration. As he pushed through the front door, he paused at the top of the steps and scanned the sidewalk, hoping to see Rasha. But only one student remained near the school, standing next to a bus stop bench. A guy wearing a silver and blue St. Anne's jacket. Brady smiled to himself. A guy would have to be blind not to notice Rasha. This one might not know her, but Brady would bet anything he'd seen her. And once any guy saw Rasha, he would remember her. Rasha was impossible to forget. Brady trotted quickly down the steps and hurried to the bus stop. Hey, I've got a problem, he told the guy waiting there. I need to find a girl who goes here. Maybe you know her. Rasha Nelson? The guy immediately shook his head. Never heard of her. I'd remember a weird name like that. Yeah, okay, Brady said. But when I describe her, you'll know who I'm talking about, for sure. He quickly described Rasha. Know who I mean now? The guy shook his head again. Oh, come on, Brady protested. There can't be another girl like that at St. Anne's. There's not even one girl like that at St. Anne's, the guy told him. It's a small school. If your girl went here, I would have noticed her, believe me. But she told me she does, Brady almost shouted. Yeah, well, she doesn't. The guy turned away and stared at the bus rolling toward them from down the street. I don't believe it, Brady yelled. He grabbed the guy and spun him back around. You're lying. Rasha goes to St. Anne's. Now tell me where she is. Brady knew he was losing it, but he couldn't stop himself. Tell me where she is, he shouted. Without even realizing what he was doing, he shoved the boy backward. Watched as he went sprawling onto the sidewalk. The boy's eyes grew wide, frightened. Brady clenched his fists. What am I doing, he thought. I'm losing it. I'm totally losing it. But this guy has to know Rasha, and I'm going to make him tell me the truth. Chapter 11. Are you crazy? The boy scrambled to his feet, brushing dirty snow off his school jacket. His eyes were wide with shock. "What's your problem?" Brady raised his fists, ready to punch the truth out of the guy, but the bus squealed to a stop next to them, spewing fumes. The boy darted past Brady and jumped on board, glaring at Brady over his shoulder. The doors whooshed shut, and the bus started down the street. Brady stood alone on the corner, feeling stunned and angry. Rasha said she went to St. Anne's. He could practically hear her saying the words. Remembering the sound of Rasha's low, throaty voice, Brady groaned. When would he hear it again? Where was she? I'm really losing it, he thought. That poor kid thought I was nuts. Well, maybe I am. Brady searched up and down the sidewalk. Deserted. He stuffed his hands in his jacket pockets and crossed the street toward the school. He hurried down a walkway that led to the back of the building. St. Anne's football field was back there, he remembered, and there it stood, covered in gray, slushy snow. Brady started to leave, but then he noticed a single figure standing deep in the shadows on the other side of the field. A girl. Her back was to Brady, so he couldn't see her face. She wore a knit cap on her head. A few strands of hair had escaped the cap and blew in the wind. Brady couldn't tell whether it was blonde, but it definitely was long as Rasha's. Brady's heart raced with excitement. He took his hands from his pockets and began to jog across the field. As he drew closer, he saw that the girl's knit cap was purple, Rasha's favorite color, and her hair was blonde. It's Rasha, he thought, beginning to run full out. It has to be. Rasha, he cried as he ran. Hey, Rasha! The girl didn't turn. Rasha, Brady shouted. Grinning in anticipation, he lunged the last few steps and grabbed hold of her arm. As Brady spun the girl around, weak winter sunlight struck the girl's face, her hideously scarred face. Chapter 12. Brady dropped her arm and stumbled backward, his heartbeat drumming in his ears. He had seen this girl before, on his date with Rasha. She'd stood in the shadows of the movie marquee, watching him with glittering eyes and a face totally covered with gnarled, twisted scars. Brady felt disgust, pity, horror. She doesn't even look human, he thought. For a few seconds, Brady stood rooted to the frosted grass on the football field, staring at the girl's face. And then her eyes gleamed even more brightly from the folds of twisted flesh. She was going to speak to him. No, Brady thought. He didn't know why, but he couldn't stand the idea of listening to her. He spun quickly around, turning his back on the girl. As he hunched his shoulders and hurried away, he could feel her eyes on him again. He could feel her eyes on him, watching him again. He broke into a run. When he reached the other side of the field, he glanced over his shoulder. The girl stood there, watching him. Brady kept running, alongside the school building and across the street. As he sped along the sidewalk, he glanced back one more time, and crashed into a figure stepping onto the sidewalk from behind his car. A figure with green eyes and long blonde hair, swirling over the shoulders of her plum-colored jacket. Rasha! Brady gasped. Brady, hi, Rasha laughed and clung to his arm to keep from falling. I can't believe it. What are you doing here? I came to see you. Brady squeezed her hand and looked over his shoulder again. Had the scarred girl followed him? What are you looking at? Rasha asked. A girl. Brady turned back to Rasha. I saw her when we came out of the movie the other night, and then I saw her a couple of minutes ago, standing by the football field. She gives me the creeps. Why? Because of her face. Brady shuddered as he described the horrible scars. Rasha shuddered too, and stepped closer to him. Let's drop it, okay? Do you know her? Brady asked. I mean, she was standing in St. Anne's football field, so I figured you might have run into her in the hall. Rasha shook her head. I haven't. I don't know any girl with a scarred face. But, Brady paused again. Rasha tilted her head and gazed at him. What's wrong? It's just that I came here looking for you, Brady explained. But the secretary wouldn't give me your number or anything. And then I ran into this guy outside, and he told me you didn't go here. So? Rasha stared at him. It's weird, that's all, Brady told her. I mean, I didn't believe him. I almost punched him out. He frowned. But I don't get it. Why didn't he know you? I don't believe this, Rasha snapped. You came here to check up on me? Brady stared at her, stunned by her anger. Why would I do something like that? You tell me, Rasha shouted. I go to school at St. Anne's, okay? I'm new. I don't know many kids yet. So what if some guy you asked hasn't set eyes on me? How come you believe him instead of me? I don't, Brady cried. I just said it was weird, that's all. No, you're weird, Brady, Rasha yelled, checking up on me, asking a total stranger about me. You're much too weird. Before Brady could protest, Rasha spun around and stalked away. Chapter 13. Stunned, Brady stared after Rasha. You jerk, he told himself. What's the matter with you? She's getting away. Go after her and make it up to her. Brady's legs finally got the message from his brain. He tore across the street after Rasha and grabbed her arm. Rasha, I'm sorry, he cried desperately. Please, I didn't mean to make you angry. I wasn't checking up on you. I guess it sounded like that, but I wasn't really. Rasha didn't say anything, but she didn't pull away either. It's just that I wanted to see you so badly, Brady continued. When I couldn't find you, I guess I went a little nuts. Then that girl with the scar surprised me, and I... He broke off and took a deep breath. I'm crazy about you, Rasha. Please don't be angry. Rasha stared at him a moment longer. Brady waited, his heart hammering. When Rasha's lips finally curved into a smile, he felt his knees wobble in relief. She was going to forgive him. Everything will be perfect again. Rasha slipped her hand into his and leaned closer to him. Her silky hair brushed against Brady's cheek. It smelled like flowers. You are crazy, all right, she murmured. I think it must be that bump on your head. How is it, Brady? I've been worried out of my mind about you since the accident. With Rasha standing so close, Brady barely remembered the lump on his forehead. It's fine, he told her. Really, Rasha, nothing to worry about. She squeezed his hand. I feel really awful about the car, too, she told him. I wish I could ask my dad to pay for the repairs, but I'm already in major trouble with him. If he finds out what happened, I'm afraid he'll ground me, and then I'd never see you again. She really likes me, Brady thought happily. She's been worried. She's been thinking about me. He could have floated into the sky. Don't worry about the car. The insurance took care of it, he explained. Hey, what are we doing standing around in the cold anyway? Let's go get a coffee or a Coke or something. Sounds great, Rasha agreed, but I only have half an hour. I have to get home and start a history paper. Brady felt a stab of disappointment. Now that he'd finally found her, he wanted to spend hours with her. Take what you can get, he told himself. In the car, Brady spotted Rasha's black leather bag on the floor where he tossed it. Oh, I've got something for you. He reached over, grabbed the bag, and handed it to her. My purse, Rasha cried. I've been wondering what happened to it. You left it in a car after the movie, Brady explained, pulling the car away from the curb. The police brought it over the next day. The police? Rasha's eyes widened in alarm. No problem, he assured her. I told them my girlfriend left it there on another date. They didn't have a clue you were with me that night. Rasha sighed with relief. Thanks, Brady. No problem, he repeated. But it's weird. I mean, your bag is totally empty. You looked in my purse? Rasha zipped open the bag and peered inside. Just to see if I could find your phone number, he told her quickly. He didn't want her to explode again. But the bag was totally empty. Spotting a coffee shop, Brady turned into the parking lot and found a space. He turned off the engine and glanced over at Rasha. Rasha kept staring into the bag. I remember now, she murmured. I was so eager to meet you at the mall. It was all I could think about. You were eager to meet me? Brady asked. That floating sensation returned, stronger than ever. Rasha nodded, gazing at him shyly. I must have spent an hour getting ready, and then I ran out of the house with the wrong bag. Isn't that stupid? Brady gazed into her beautiful green eyes. It's not stupid, he murmured. It's great. Great that you wanted to see me, I mean. I couldn't wait to see you, too. Rasha's lips curved into a sexy smile. She tossed the bag aside and scooted across the car seat, settling next to Brady. She took his face in her hands and pulled it close to hers. I'm so glad we found each other again, she whispered, her lips brushing his. I think we were meant to be together, don't you? Definitely, Brady murmured. Rasha's lips pressed against his, soft at first, then harder. Pulling back slightly, she kissed his cheeks, his forehead, his eyelids. Then she returned to his lips. She's perfect, Brady thought, kissing her back. Perfect. You know what I want to do? Rasha whispered, her breath tickling his ear. What? Brady stroked her hair. Anything. Go dancing Saturday night. Doesn't that sound great? Saturday? Brady frowned. Didn't he have something to do on Saturday? Yeah. Rasha's lips traveled from his ear to his cheekbone, then down to the corner of his mouth. Don't you want to? Definitely. Saturday night for sure, Brady agreed. But even as he said it, Brady suddenly heard Allie's voice telling him about Mai Kamada's party. Mai Kamada's ice skating party. On Saturday night. Brady sighed. What's wrong? Rasha murmured. Nothing, he assured her quickly. Not a thing. But as Rasha smiled and kissed him again, Brady's mind spun. What am I going to do about Allie? He wondered. Simple, Brady thought, as he let himself in the front door of his house. You're going to tell Allie the truth. He tossed his jacket on a hall table and strode to the kitchen to find something to eat. As he stared into the refrigerator, Brady imagined what he would say. Listen, Allie, you're a terrific person and everything, but the thing is, I've met somebody else, and I think we better break up. Short and sweet, right? Brady shook his head. Short, but not very sweet. He grabbed a cold drumstick and a handful of napkins and took them upstairs to his room. Sitting on the bed, he gnawed the chicken and tried to figure out a better way to break it to Allie. How else could he tell her? He couldn't go on and on about how perfect Rasha was, not unless he wanted to hurt Allie and turn her into an enemy. Which she probably would be anyway, no matter what he said. Brady glanced guiltily at the phone. Should he call Allie now and get it over with? He shook his head again. You're not ready yet, he told himself. You'll wind up hurting her so badly she'll hate you forever. First, he called John. He wanted to apologize for the way he'd acted after school. Plus, he wanted to tell John that he'd found Rasha. Rasha. He grinned to himself. Not only had he found her, but he'd found out she was crazy about him. Her kisses proved it. Still grinning, Brady finished the chicken and tossed it into the wastepaper basket. As he wiped his fingers on the napkins, the phone rang. Probably Allie, he thought, feeling guilty again. Don't tell her yet. Wait until you come up with a good speech. He grabbed the phone. Hello? Hello, Brady. A girl's voice. Brady shot to his feet, his heart hammering. It was the same voice. The same girl who'd called him before. Who is this? He demanded. What do you want? I saw you, she replied. I saw you with Rasha outside St. Anne's. It's the girl with the scarred face, Brady realized. It has to be. Who else could have seen us there? Why have you been following me? He demanded. What do you want? I already told you, the girl whispered. Stay away from Rasha. This is no joke. Stay away from her. Forget it, Brady shouted angrily. Just leave me alone. Brady slammed the phone down and dropped onto the bed. Who is she? He wondered, remembering the girl's hideously scarred face. I don't know her. Rasha doesn't know her. What does she want with me? Why can't she just leave me alone? Chapter 14. So, you're going dancing with Rasha Saturday night? John asked the next afternoon. He pulled open the door to the high school weight room. What did Allie have to say about that? Nothing. I didn't tell her about Rasha, Brady replied. I just broke our date for May's party. What excuse did you give? I told her I'm grounded because I haven't found a job to help pay for the car yet, Brady admitted. John rolled his eyes and made his way over to a bench. Brady followed him. The workout room was large and square, with mirrors on the walls, gray carpet on the floor, and state-of-the-art bodybuilding machines. At the moment, it was almost empty, but the smell of sweat lingered in the air. John did a few warm-ups, then started in on some bicep curls with a set of weights. And Allie bought it, huh? Brady nodded as he set up the bench press machine next to John. She was really steamed about the party, he said, lying back on the bench. So it wasn't the right time to tell her about Rasha. Not the right time. John's string bean arms strained as he hefted the weights. Are you for real? I say you're crazy for dumping her. But if you're going to do it, do it. You know what will happen if she finds out on her own. Major trouble. I know I have to tell her. I almost did. But at the last minute, I just couldn't. Brady began lifting the weights, feeling the muscles in his arms swell. I mean, at first she was really angry about May's party. Then she got all upset and almost cried. And you felt sorry for her, John declared. Yeah, I really like Allie, Brady told him, grunting as he pushed up the weights. But not as much as Rasha, right? Remembering the feel of Rasha's lips on his, Brady grinned. What do you think? I already told you what I think, John replied, puffing a little as he switched to heavier weights. I think you've lost it, but hey, what do I know? Let's drop the subject before we get into another fight. Good idea, Brady smiled to himself again. So what if he lost it? Rasha was worth it. Too bad John didn't understand. But Brady felt better since they patched things up on the phone last night. The phone. Brady's satisfied smile faded. In his mind, he heard the scarred girl's voice again, warning him, stay away from Rasha. Brady shivered, even though the sweat was pouring off his face. His arms trembled. His breathing grew jerky. You okay? John asked, wiping his forehead with the back of his wrist. Brady rested the weights on his chest for a moment. I don't know. What do you mean? John asked. Is it your head? No. Brady took a deep breath. It's a girl. Huh? Another one. Yeah, but it's not what you're thinking, Brady told him. I don't even know who this one is. I mean, I've seen her. At least I think I have. Whoa. John raked his fingers back through his red hair. I don't get it. Start at the beginning, okay? Right. Slowly, Brady told him about the scarred girl, watching him outside the movie theater, and in the football field behind St. Anne's, the girl with the ugly scars, watching him again, and the 2 calls, warning him to stay away from Rasha. At first, I didn't put it together, he explained. The face and the calls, I mean. But when she called yesterday and said she'd see me with Rasha, it clicked. Let me get this straight, John stated, frowning. You think this girl with the scars is the same one warning you about Rasha? Brady nodded. Weird, John commented. Are you sure you don't know her? Positive. Brady gripped the weights and shoved them above his chest. And Rasha doesn't either. But whoever she is, she really scares me. Brady lowered the weights. Forget about it, he told himself. Stop letting some strange girl creep you out like this. With a grunt, he shoved the weights up. 5 more reps, he decided. He lowered the weights, took a deep breath, and began to lift them again. Once. Twice. He felt himself tiring. 3 more times, he told himself. Come on. Just 3 more times. He bit his lip, struggling to raise his arms to their full extension. Just a little bit higher. Higher. A movement outside the window caught his eye. Brady blinked away a bead of sweat and turned his head on the padded bench. A girl peered in at him. The sunlight glanced off her scarred face. The gleam from her slitted eyes seemed to burn through the glass. Her scarred lips opened as if she were about to call his name. No, Brady thought. He tried to shout, but his breath came in gasps. Air. He couldn't get enough air. Couldn't breathe. Fear pounded through Brady. His arms quivered violently. The weights shook in his hands. Brady gasped as his strength gave out. The heavy, crushing weights dropped onto him like a high-speed elevator.